Today, we're talking about why our brains love to make us feel terrible by comparing us to other people, and the simple fix that will finally make it stop.
Life is beautiful.
So, I caught myself falling into this trap of comparing myself to everyone that we saw on stage at the social media conference, or I should say, email newsletter conference that we were just at. Because these were all people that just seemed to have it figured out
Mm.
and seemed to be way, quote unquote, further along than we were on their creator journeys. And there was one kid in particular named Gannon, who was basically like a many chat guru. And he just picked this lane of ManyChat, which, if you don't know what ManyChat is, it's like, when you are on Instagram or Facebook and people write comment blank and I'll send you this. ManyChat is the software that makes that possible. So he's the guy who helps you set up your ManyChat as a creator. And he's making some good money doing that. And he was speaking on stage, and I couldn't help but feel like less than when I was comparing our journey to him, because he just had this such a clear value proposition compared to us. And I just was going down this really terrible rabbit hole. And the funny part was, that morning, I woke up feeling amazing. I was so excited for this conference, to learn from all these great creators, to meet new creators in our niche. And after a few of these talks and just my comparison brain going to work, I felt like absolute dog shit. And nothing changed. Nothing changed other than the fact that my comparison brain was just at full freaking charge.
Hmm.
And so I was curious, why the hell does my brain love to do this? Why does it love to make me miserable?
Why do our brains compare ourselves to others?
So I found out the reason. There's a biological reason. There's
Are we about to enter into Mike's Science Corner?
We're about to get into Mike's Science Corner. So there's something called Festinger's social comparison theory. So in 1954, a social psychologist at Stanford, for some reason all these guys come from Stanford, named Leon Festinger, figured out that our brains have a built-in need to know how we are doing in the world. It is survival wiring. So your brain needs to know if your abilities are adequate in order to act effectively in the world. In other words, it needs to measure us against something, because for most things in life, there are no objective ways to measure it without comparing yourself to someone else and how they perform that thing. But the thing that he found is, and this is where I was getting this wrong for so many times, I was trying to shut this comparison brain off. But he basically found that you cannot shut this thing off because it is just a part of our survival wiring. So you can't get your brain to stop comparing yourself. You just can't. It's impossible.
So what do you do instead?
So instead of comparing yourself to other people, the fix is to basically just compare yourself to who you used to be. It's very, very simple. It's a lot harder to practice.
Yeah.
It's a lot simpler in theory.
I really like, I mean, I obviously fully subscribe to that, like, be better than you were yesterday mentality that you're talking about. But I think there's also something to how I try to overcome looking at other people and then feeling bad about myself, which is what you talked about in the beginning of this, which is I really try to change the story in my head, which was, if I saw somebody and then I started having these thoughts that, like, oh my God, they're so much more ahead of me, I really tried to, like, analyze them and change that from, oh my God, they're so much ahead of me, to being inspired by them. So it's actually changing the narrative. So I'm not going to stop looking at people and comparing my life to theirs. But it's, can I be inspired by them rather than compare where I currently am to where they are, which makes absolutely no sense what I tell myself, because I have no idea what life path they took to get to where they are, and they have no idea what life path I've taken to get to where I am right now. So the whole comparison and, like, feeling bad about myself makes no sense when I think about it from that perspective. But feeling inspired does make sense.
So
And
how do you make that switch? Like, what is the, if you had to put context around narrative A and narrative B, what is it?
well, I guess narrative A is saying they're so much further ahead than me. I'm bad.
Or I'm behind.
I'm behind.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Narrative B is saying, wow, they're doing really great work and I'm inspired by it. And I don't have to feel like I should be there too.
I think it's I think they have the same start. So I think it's, "Oh my god, they're so much more ahead of me." Both
Mm,
A and B start with that.
sure.
"Oh my god, they're so much more ahead of me."
Yeah.
But then option A goes to, "I'm behind,"
Yeah.
and option B goes to, "What can I learn from them?"
Yeah. That
That's the difference.
exactly.
You're just asking yourself, "What's in my control here?" Like, you're not denying the fact that they're further along than you, but you're just not making that put you down. Instead, you're making it lift you up by asking a simple question, which is, "There must be something here I can learn from them. What is it?"
Exactly.
And honestly, that's actually very true because when I was at that conference, I actually spoke to you. And now that I'm thinking back to it, we had a very similar conversation as we're having now. And I went back in and I started listening to every speaker from this different lens, which is, how can I learn from them? And I started to write notes down and started to actually learn as opposed to feel absolutely depressed watching all these people on stage. And we've implemented so many of those ideas from that second day after making that switch to, there must be something here I can learn from them.
Yeah.
And so it's using that comparison to your advantage in a way, which is really interesting.
Yeah. But going back to your original thought, which was the ultimate person that we can compare ourselves to is the person that we were yesterday. And I love this concept of trying to be 1% better than you were yesterday, doing something a little bit different than you did yesterday. Constantly at the end of every night asking yourself, what can I improve on tomorrow?
Yeah, and I think that it's not just yesterday. And I'll bring this home with the call to action that I found really useful and really inspiring. And I actually got really emotional doing this. I went to the very beginning of my camera roll on my phone. I literally scrolled all the way up and I got to 2015, which was the very beginning of my camera roll. And I saw a picture of me at a Jimmy Buffett concert wearing the most ridiculous outfit.
Mhm.
And I just looked at my own face and I was still working at the old startup that I used to work at. And I remember just that period of time and how just toxic my behavior and my habits were and how unhappy I was and how far I've come since then. And to get that really, really long term view of like how far you've come is super helpful to get you in that mindset of comparing yourself today to the person you were yesterday and getting out of that feeling of I'm behind and getting you into the feeling of, well, I'm actually doing pretty freaking great when I compare myself to who I was all the way back then. So, even if it's just for fun, I highly recommend opening up your phone at some point today and scrolling back to the very first photo of yourself and just portaling back to that time, seeing how you felt, what were you doing, and seeing how that makes you feel.
Very deep. Very deep. I like it. All right. Well, thanks for hanging out with us. We love you.
Peace.